Okay, picture this. It's a perfect summer day. The sun's out, you can hear people laughing, splashing around in this huge swimming pool that's actually floating on a river. It is the absolute picture of happiness. But what if, just inches beneath their feet, separated by nothing more than the floor of that pool, a really dark secret had been hiding for years? This is the story of how that perfect picture was literally floating on top of a 2-year-old tragedy.
Now, I know that sounds like a riddle, right? A total paradox. But this is the true story of a man who somehow managed to do just that. And it turns out, a city's favorite summer hangout held the key to his disappearance the entire time.
So our story kicks off in the beautiful city of Antwerp, and it centers on a man named Ode Egiloose. One night, he'd been out with some friends, and he started walking home. Simple enough. Except he never made it.
Now, right from the start, this case is weird. When police checked the CCTV footage of his last known moments, they saw something really odd. First, Ode gets mugged, but instead of, panicking or calling for help, he just keeps walking. A few minutes later, it happens again. He's mugged by a completely different person, and still, he just keeps on going, almost like he doesn't even care. The very last piece of footage shows him walking steadily toward this really well-known local spot on the Katendijk dock. It's called the Badaboot. It's this massive, super popular swimming pool that's built into a boat floating right on the river. He walks towards it and then, poof, he's just gone. Vanishes from the camera's view.
So with Ode officially a missing person, the police, of course, launch a huge search. And the most logical place to start was the very last place he was seen, right there in the water around the Badaboot.
And they really went all out. They had police divers go down into that murky water, searching the riverbed piece by piece, combing the entire area around the boat. But they found absolutely nothing. No clothes, no wallet, not a single clue. And what's just as frustrating, not one person came forward who had seen anything.
It was a complete and total dead end. I mean, how does a man just walk to a spot and disappear into thin air? The answer was so unbelievably close, but at the same time so unthinkable that it might as well have been a million miles away. For his family, for the police, it was just this baffling, frustrating mystery.
The lead investigator on the case pretty much said it was like Ode just ceased to exist the second he walked off camera. There were no leads, no theories that made any sense, just nothing.
And just like that, the case went cold. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and then months turned into years. Ode's family was just left hanging, with no answers, and his disappearance became another unsolved file collecting dust.
For 2 full years, life in Antwerp just went on. Seasons changed, people had summer vacations, and all that time, the Badaboot stayed this popular, happy place, holding its dark secret just beneath the surface, completely hidden from the thousands of people who came to swim there. And then, everything changed.
After years and years of use, the massive floating structure started to give out. It began taking on water, and it was slowly but surely sinking right there in the dock. The very landmark where Ode was last seen was now in serious trouble.
And you got to remember, we're not talking about some little backyard pool here. This was a 150-foot-long boat, a giant steel structure that had been turned into a public attraction. So the fact that it was sinking, that was a pretty big deal.
To try and save the boat, the city had to call in the big guns. And this salvage operation was about to accidentally bring the 2-year-old mystery of Ode Egiloose to a really shocking end. So they bring in this enormous crane to the dock. The plan was pretty straightforward. Lift the entire 150-foot boat out of the river so they could fix it. The chains were attached, the engine started to roar, and the Badaboot was slowly hoisted up into the air.
As all the water was streaming off the bottom of the boat, the workers saw something wedged against the underside of the hull. It was the body of Ode Egiloose. He had been there the entire time, in the one and only place the divers could have never seen, directly underneath the swimming pool itself.
So investigators finally put the pieces together. It was just a horrible, tragic accident. That night, Ode must have stumbled and fallen into that small gap between the dock and the boat. The river's current was just strong enough that it instantly sucked him underneath the huge hole, pinning him against the bottom of the pool. He was trapped, just inches away from the air, with no way to escape.
And this is what's so chilling, right? This is the horrifying irony at the very heart of the story. For 2 years, over 2 whole summers, hundreds and hundreds of people swam in that pool.
They laughed, they played, they enjoyed the sunshine, completely and totally unaware that the missing man the whole city was looking for was trapped directly beneath them, a silent witness to all of it. Ode Egiloose was missing to the entire world, and yet, at the exact same time, he was hiding in one of the most public places you could imagine. It's such a haunting end to the story, and it really forces you to wonder, what other secrets, what other truths might be hidden just out of our sight, in the places we would never ever think to look?